Hi, this is Neeraj Jaiswal and welcome to the episode. In this episode, you are going to learn about the Rec tool and the other tools which are there in the toolbar on the top left of the editor. The first thing which I need to do was to prepare a empty project and then save the scene and added a button. This I am going to use it to showcase exactly how these toolbars use can be used. So the first thing is this drag tool. This drag tool can be used to basically place your scene within this particular edit scene editor. Now you can easily drag it and place it. For example, if for some reason it is you want to concentrate on zoom on some particular part here, or you want to just zoom on the button itself, you can zoom it and then place it, centralize it. This way you can use it. Now let's go to the second tool in the toolbar, which is the move. You can move the selected objects. So just select the button. I'll zoom out a bit. I'll select the button and then I will select the move tool. Now how this works out is, if as you can see, you will be shown two arrows, one in x direction and one in y direction, basically horizontal and vertical. As the UI components are the 2D objects, you have been shown only the x and y axis. If it had been a 3D object, you would have been shown the z axis as well. But for this one, you are being shown the horizontal x axis and vertical y axis. So now if you want to move this button horizontally, you can simply click on the arrow and drag it. So as you can see, wherever I place the mouse, the button moves only in horizontal direction. Similarly, for the vertical, it will move in the vertical direction. Now if you want to move it like anywhere in the space, you can select this square. This square you can see here. This square you can place it and then move it. So this way you can move the whole button. So this is basically this tool is used to move the object. Now let's go to the next tool. It's the rotate tool. So if you want to rotate the button somewhere, so you select the button and select the tool. Now you can rotate it here clockwise, anti-clockwise, and also if you want to like rotate it in a 3D directional. So you can, as you can see, there are a lot of other options which can be used to rotate the button. And as you will be seeing, the values of x, y and z axis are changing. So you can use this tool to align your button in a proper way where you want. For non-gaming apps, I'll suggest that you only use the x and y axis and just keep the z as it is by default. So I'm going to just revert everything, and this was the original values x, y and z 0. Now if I want to rotate, I'll just rotate either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So this way you can use the rotate tool. Now let's move on to the next tool in the toolbar, which is the scale tool. The scale tool can be used to scale the button in the x direction or in the y direction. So for example, when you select this button and you select the scale tool in the toolbar, you can, if you select this square, you can scale the button in x direction of with respect to the button. And if you try to expand in the y direction, you can do it in like this. You are seeing the expansion or the scaling is limited in the restricted in the y direction. Similarly, if you select this one, it is restricted in the x direction. Now, if you want, you can remove those restriction by scaling using by clicking on this, the middle there is a square, that one will allow you to expand in x and y direction, keeping the aspect ratio. So this can be used to scale the components, the scale tool in the scale toolbar. The next is the rect tool. The benefit of this rect tool is, like, you select this button and you can do all these things together using one single tool. So if you want to expand it, resize it, you can do that by dragging any of the edges using these blue dots. The next thing is, if you want to move it, you can move it by just pressing your button and then moving the object. Select the object, press on it and then move it. The third thing is, if you want to rotate this object. Now, if you just go beside the blue dots at the corners of the button, you will see, you will get a rotation icon at the on the mouse tracker. So you can basically rotate it like this. What you have to do is, you have to press the mouse key or on your trackpad and then rotate it. So it's a basically all-in-one tool, the rect tool, which gives you the option of three things together. Now coming down to this pivot points. Now pivot point can be set as center or pivot. For example, you will see a small blue colored circle at the center. So what you can do is, you can move this blue colored circle outside the button. Now see, as it is pivot, if you want to rotate it around the pivot point, it will rotate around this particular pivot point. I can move this here, and then if I try to rotate the button, it will rotate around the pivot point. But if I just want to rotate this button at its center, around its center, the pivot point will automatically come to the center of the button and it will rotate around its axis. Rather, I'll say Z axis. So you can, this way you can use this to either use center or pivot. Most of the time people will be leaving it as, the programmers prefer to leave it as pivot, and you can use it where you want. You can either centralize it or you can move it around. It gives you more flexibility while rotating this button or rather the component. Another option will be to use the local and global options. Basically, this tool handles the global rotation, also the resize. For example, if you choose global, right now the global has been chosen, selected. So the rectangle will basically show is the across the whole area which is being occupied by that UI, the rectangular area which has been occupied. like this. Now if just see, if I change this and I select local, you will see the rectangle is bordering the button, the actual area which is being occupied by the button. This is more visible when the button is basically the button or the any UI component has been rotated a bit. It's not in completely horizontal or vertical. Basically at the rectangle is not basically horizontal or vertical and is slightly rotated. So this is about the rect tool and its the other toolbars on the editor. We'll tell you more about the rect transform in the future lectures. So happy coding and keep rocking.